Why the rarest personality is rejected early, but succeeds late in life. Let me begin with something that might surprise you. Some of the people who eventually succeed the most in life are the same people who are rejected the most early on. Not because they lack talent, not because they lack intelligence, and certainly not because they lack ambition, but because they possess a certain personality that is extremely rare. A personality that does not easily conform. A personality that questions systems instead of blindly accepting them. A personality that refuses to follow expectations simply because that's how things have always been done. And in the early stages of life, society tends to resist people like this. Schools reward conformity. Early careers reward obedience. Social circles reward familiarity and similarity. But rare personalities operate differently. They observe patterns others miss. They see inefficiencies others tolerate. They challenge rules that everyone else has quietly accepted. And often they move slower at the beginning because they are building something deeper. While others are focused on fitting in, they are focused on understanding how things truly work. While others are chasing approval, they are searching for truth. And because of that difference, they often feel out of place. Teachers may see them as difficult. Employers may see them as unconventional. Peers may see them as strange or overly ambitious, but throughout history, this pattern appears again and again. Many of the individuals who later create enormous success were misunderstood early in life. Their ideas sounded unrealistic. Their behavior seemed unusual. Their thinking appeared too different. But years later, those same traits became the exact reason they succeeded. Before we go deeper, if you enjoy content that explores the psychology behind success, power, and financial growth, make sure you subscribe to Money Mind Shift. Because on this channel, we don't just talk about money, we talk about the mindset and strategy behind people who build lasting influence. And if you have ever felt misunderstood, underestimated, or out of place, comment the words, "Rare Minds," because what you're about to hear may explain a lot. Let's begin. 1. Rare personalities think independently, and independence makes people uncomfortable. One of the most powerful traits of rare personalities is independent thinking. They do not automatically accept ideas simply because they are popular. They do not follow a belief simply because everyone else believes it. Instead, they analyze it, they question, they examine the structure behind the idea. They ask themselves, does this actually make sense? This ability to think independently is incredibly powerful in the long run. But in the early stages of life, it often creates tension because most institutions are not designed to reward independent thinking. Schools reward memorization, organizations reward reliability, groups reward agreement. Independent thinkers disrupt that structure. They ask uncomfortable questions, they challenge authority, they propose alternative solutions, and because of that, they are often misunderstood. People may label them as difficult or stubborn or rebellious, but many times they are simply thinking more deeply. History offers countless examples of this. Consider Niccolò Machiavelli. Today, he is considered one of the most influential political thinkers in history. His book, The Prince, continues to be studied centuries later by leaders, historians, and strategists. But during his lifetime, Machiavelli faced exile and political rejection. He lost his position in government. He was pushed out of political influence. Why? Because he refused to describe power in the polite, idealistic language people preferred. Instead, he described power exactly as it functioned. He studied leaders honestly. He examined strategy, influence, and political survival. And that level of honesty made many people uncomfortable. But centuries later, his insights are recognized as brilliant. Independent thinkers are often rejected not because they are wrong, but because they are early. They see truths that others are not yet ready to accept. 2. Rare personalities build vision. Slowly. Another reason rare personalities struggle early in life is that they think in longer time horizons. Most people are focused on immediate results. They want quick success, quick validation, quick progress that others can see. But rare personalities often think differently. They are less concerned with appearing successful today. Instead, they are focused on building something meaningful over time. They spend years learning, experimenting, developing ideas, refining skills. And because of that, their progress may not always be visible, Friends may advance faster in traditional careers. Peers may appear more stable. Society often rewards people who follow predictable paths. Meanwhile, rare personalities are still building, still experimenting, still figuring out how to turn their ideas into reality. From the outside, it can look like they are falling behind, but that appearance can be deceptive. Take the story of Colonel Harland Sanders. Today, he is known around the world as the founder of KFC, one of the most successful restaurant brands ever created. But his success came very late in life. Before creating KFC, Sanders faced numerous setbacks. He worked a wide variety of jobs and he struggled financially. At times, his life appeared unstable. And when he began promoting his chicken recipe, restaurant owners rejected him again and again. Legend says he faced more than 1,000 rejections before someone finally agreed to partner with him. Most people would have stopped long before that point. But rare personalities have something different. Persistence. They are willing to continue when progress feels slow. They are willing to endure rejection when others give up, because they believe in the long-term potential of their vision, and eventually persistence compounds. What once looked like endless rejection slowly transforms into opportunity, and that opportunity becomes success. 3. Rare personalities value authenticity over approval. Another defining trait of rare personalities is authenticity. They are less interested in pretending to fit in. They prefer honesty over popularity. They would rather be misunderstood for who they truly are than accepted for someone they are not. And while authenticity sounds admirable, it can be difficult in the early stages of life, because social systems reward people who adapt to group expectations. If you think differently, speak differently, or behave differently, people may react with skepticism. They may question your choices, they may doubt your direction, and sometimes they may even distance themselves from you. But authenticity also creates something extremely powerful: identity. When someone consistently expresses their true voice, their ideas become recognizable, their perspective becomes unique, and over time that uniqueness becomes valuable. Consider the journey of Steve Harvey. Before becoming a global television personality, Harvey struggled for many years. He faced serious financial hardship. At one point, he was living in his car while pursuing a career in stand-up comedy. Many people doubted his chances of success, but Harvey refused to abandon his authentic voice. He kept performing. He kept developing his style of storytelling and humor, and eventually audiences connected with that authenticity. Today, he hosts major television programs, writes best-selling books, and speaks to audiences around the world. His early rejection didn't mean he lacked talent. It simply meant the world had not discovered his voice yet. 4. Rare personalities build strength through adversity. Early rejection can be painful, but it also develops something extremely valuable: resilience. People who experience repeated setbacks often develop strengths that others never learn. Patience, emotional endurance, adaptability, problem-solving ability. When success arrives too easily, people rarely develop these traits. But when progress requires persistence, growth becomes unavoidable. Many influential leaders built their greatest strengths during difficult periods of their lives. Entrepreneurs who struggle early often become more disciplined and strategic. Creators who face criticism early often develop sharper thinking and stronger creativity. Adversity forces people to evolve. It pushes them to grow beyond their limitations. This is why many late success stories follow a similar pattern. Years of struggle, years of doubt, years of preparation, followed by a breakthrough that appears sudden to outsiders. But that breakthrough was never sudden. It was built slowly, through experience, through failure, through persistence. And rare personalities are often the ones willing to endure that process, because they understand something many people miss. Early recognition is not always the most important thing. Sometimes the early years are about preparation, and those who prepare longer often succeed further. 5. Rare personalities become valuable. When systems stop working, many systems work well until they don't. Businesses succeed for years using the same strategies. Institutions follow traditions that once made sense. Industries repeat familiar patterns because they feel safe. But eventually conditions change. Markets shift, technology evolves, competition increases, and suddenly the old way of doing things stops producing results. This is the moment when rare personalities become valuable, because they were never fully comfortable with the old system in the first place. While others were following established rules, they were studying those rules. While others were protecting the system, they were questioning it. And when change arrives, those questions become solutions. Consider Elon Musk. In the early years of his career, many people considered his ideas unrealistic. Electric vehicles were considered impractical. Private space companies were considered impossible. Yet Musk continued pushing forward with Tesla and SpaceX. For years, critics predicted failure. But when technology advanced and industries began to shift, his unconventional thinking suddenly became valuable. The same ideas that once sounded unrealistic became revolutionary. This pattern appears again and again throughout history. Rare personalities are often early, and being early can look like being wrong until the world catches up. 6. Rare personalities eventually build unique value. Another reason rare personalities succeed later in life is because they build something most people never develop. Unique value. When people spend years trying to fit in, they often end up looking similar to everyone else. They follow the same career paths. They develop the same skills. They think within the same frameworks. But rare personalities move differently. Because they question systems and explore ideas independently, they gradually develop perspectives that are difficult to replicate. Over time, their thinking becomes rare, and rarity creates value. Consider the story of Warren Buffett. Buffett began studying businesses and investing strategies when he was still very young, but his approach to investing was unusual. While many investors focused on quick profits, Buffett focused on long-term value. He studied companies carefully, he invested patiently, and he held positions for years, sometimes decades. At first, this approach seemed slow compared to the fast-paced trading culture of Wall Street. But over time, Buffett's discipline and unique strategy produced extraordinary results. Today, he is widely recognized as one of the greatest investors in history. His approach worked because it was rare, and rare strategies often outperform common ones. This is an important lesson. The very traits that make someone different early in life can become their greatest competitive advantage later. 7. Rare personalities learn to trust their own judgment. Perhaps the most important transformation rare personalities experience is learning to trust their own judgment. Early rejection can make people doubt themselves. When teachers question you, when employers underestimate you, when peers criticize your ideas, it is easy to begin wondering whether you are wrong. But over time, rare personalities develop a powerful form of confidence. Not the loud confidence that seeks attention, but the quiet confidence that comes from experience. They learn that rejection does not always mean failure. Sometimes rejection simply means the environment was not ready. This understanding allows them to keep moving forward even when others disagree. History is filled with examples of this kind of persistence. Innovators, entrepreneurs, creators, and thinkers who faced years of doubt before their ideas were finally recognized. They were not always the most accepted people in the room, but they were often the most committed to their vision. And commitment compounds. Over years of persistence, small improvements turn into major breakthroughs. What once looked unusual begins to look visionary. Conclusion. So what does all of this mean? It means that early rejection is not always a sign of weakness. Sometimes it is a sign of difference. Rare personalities do not always thrive in environments designed for conformity. They question systems, they challenge assumptions, they pursue ideas others consider unrealistic. And because of that, they may struggle in the beginning. But the world eventually needs people like this. Because progress rarely comes from repeating the same ideas. Progress comes from people willing to think differently. People willing to challenge the status quo. People willing to endure rejection long enough to build something original. So if you've ever felt out of place, if you've ever felt misunderstood, if your ideas have ever been dismissed too quickly, remember this. Many of the individuals who eventually shape industries, influence culture, and build extraordinary success were once doubted. The difference is they kept going. They kept learning. They kept refining their ideas, and eventually the world caught up. Because sometimes the qualities that make life harder in the beginning are the same qualities that make success possible later. And if you want more insights about wealth, psychology, and strategic thinking, subscribe to Money Mind Shift. Because understanding how success actually works can change how you approach your entire life. I'll see you in the next one.